The following podcast contains spoilers.
Hey, it's Joe Bunzerelly.
We are in the home stretch, the penultimate episode of The Mandalorian. I got Bob with me, and we're talking about Chapter 23, The Spies.
This is the Bunzerelly Show.
I remember you said last time, and I noticed there's a lot of Mandalorians last time, but this time, there's a ton of them.
Yeah, they brought in like both sex, and you had your tensions and stuff, and then like I forget because I watched it a second time. Like not all of them were there at the end. Like they left a lot behind. So
Oh yeah, that's right. They were just the ones that volunteered to go investigate. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, so the story could go anywhere moving forward. But opening up, we had the scene with Moff Gideon. Right? Like, they didn't even like play around with that. And
yeah, it was cool because they've been building that up for so long. It's like, all right, we got that.
Yeah. And
there he is.
And I like it that it's like, it's not like we're hinting or what. It's like, we all know, just get to it. They got to it finally. Like, let's have the cojones to just like lay it out. What exactly is going on here? And I think they did. They did a good job. What do you think of, did you catch Eli Kane? It was the probe droid from the Imperial probe droids that they had in Empire Strikes Back. The one that Han and Chewie shot with the
yes,
that droid is
the one that came down to talk to the
Elia Kane,
the real rip. Yeah. I did recognize. I wasn't sure exactly where it was from.
Yeah,
I says, "Oh, I know that thing." And, that was cool.
It's funny because I was like, I think the first thing Bob's going to think is Matrix, but I think it's because obviously Star Wars came first. I think Matrix used a version of that or just stole a little off of that.
Yeah. I did think that for a second because how it has like the hanging kind of, the hanging tail looking thing to it was something that like Matrix does a lot too. But no, I knew it was something from one of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah. That was cool. Bob, how much do you know about Thrawn in general?
Nothing.
Okay. I know nothing either. Okay. All I know is, and we had a friend back in the day that would read all the novels and everything, but it's like a EU, like the books. But he was big. He was a big player in his books. Like his books are the most popular. But he's shaping up to be the big bad. They were hinting at it in the Ahsoka trailer, and they're starting to show it in here. But I like
Which guy was it?
General Thrawn. I'm sorry, not Thrawn. I can't remember if he was General or a Moff or what he is. I think it's Commander Captain Thrawn. But Thrawn is you haven't seen him. He's the one they were talking about that's making his imminent return. But he's this guy with this blue face. They brought him back in Rebels, but it was like this old book called Heir to the Empire. But it looks like
it's not something I seen in the episode that I'm forgetting.
No, but the only reason I would say you would have heard of him because I never read the books either. But he was so big that I would hear whispers of him. You know what I'm saying? Like the name isn't totally unfamiliar. Like I saw him in a book cover and everything. But they're setting that up too. Like I think that's the big end game of the movie. I know he's in Ahsoka. I mean, he's been cast and everything, but I got a feeling he might be the big like after credit thing next episode because they're already talking about him now. I didn't think they'd get that far into it in The Mandalorian. But that's going to be something good to look forward to because he's got like some history with Luke and Leia and stuff in the books. So it's going to be pretty cool if that's what they're going to pull off. But
gotcha.
I don't want to drift too far sideways, but I had to acknowledge that. The guy who directed it, that shot of the armor when that fleet comes in, even just on Navarro, that fleet, because it took me a second to realize what was going on.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. And they had those, they had the huge ships too.
Yeah.
And then, the one guy was explaining to the robot and sort of explaining to us what was going on. And he's like, "Oh yeah, well you see, the Mandalorians took the ships from there." I was like, "Oh, thanks, buddy."
And just to remind you that that actual ship is the one they got from Moff Gideon. That was the one that Luke Skywalker came and rescued him. because that was the deal.
Gotcha.
Bo-Katan's like, I get to ship. Now, of course, Axe Wolf, who, by the way, has the coolest name in Star Wars history, ended up taking that from Bo-Katan. But, you know, now it's part of the thing again. So you got we're setting up with everything going on. We got a pretty cool space battle setting up for next episode.
Yeah. How about, well, you skipped over. What about the Darth Vader looking costume that Moff Gideon was wearing?
Gosh, that was all. Yeah, he's got his own. It's like a cross between the battle droids that Luke fought, or the Dark Troopers, and it's like a Mandalorian suit. It's just like, oh, and that explains our mystery of the Mandalorian armor that, you know, rescued him. It was his guys. Yeah, I didn't even catch that. Like, flew over my head. It was like, oh, wait, easy enough. Because I watched the episode and I'm like, well, who rescued? Oh, yeah, he did. Like his people did.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just as surprised for this one as I was with the girl at the end of Obi-Wan when she ended up having a Darth Vader outfit. I keep forgetting there's always a possibility of seeing like a Darth Vader looking character. Yeah, and it's like, oh, it makes sense. He's like a Jedi, but now he's a super Mandalorian Darth Vader Jedi. Yeah, he's got the Mandalorian suit. But it was cool looking. And when they did that whole fight, it was funny. I seen all the Mandalorians together. I was like, you know what? It kind of takes away from Mandalorians because when you see them all together, they look like stormtroopers. Yeah, you know, because it just looks like a sea of them versus the one rogue-looking green guy that doesn't match any of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then they have the fight, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's right. They can fly. just thousands of flying stormtroopers all fighting each other. It was awesome. Yeah. That whole fight scene. Now, let me ask you this. This part I didn't get. Okay. Were they was Moff Gideon did he have a team or something there this whole time waiting for this? Like, were they the ones who really owned the planet? And or was it that they just came in now? Like, because I'm thinking if the people that were on the planet when they got there, the people that were left behind, I couldn't tell if those people sold them out, and that's how they got trapped. That either.
I didn't get that because even people on the internet are like, well, we found one spy, but who's the other? And they're throwing all this speculation. I'm like, because I rewound it and I was looking for it. I mean, if you could say, okay, they led them into, if they said, we'll take it to the forge, they had to have known what was there. But I didn't see the actual moment of anybody acknowledging that they betrayed them. You know what I'm saying? Like on paper, yes.
They just haven't gotten there yet because they're still like, heading in.
Or it's like they just missed a scene in the edit. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I mean? Like I don't know. It seemed like yes, you could put it together in your head, but like I said, I was looking for it again. Didn't catch that. The stuff going on with Din and Bo. So.
That was awesome. That conversation that they had together, and he like sort of pledged his allegiance to her. That was a cool scene.
That's what made me scared because when they captured Din, I was positive, like, oh my God, they're gonna kill him. Like it looked bad. Like it didn't look like it didn't look like they were capturing him. It looked like, oh, we got you. And I was like, wait a minute. Quickly, 2 seconds in my head, I thought like, were those his last words when he just said to Bo? You know what I'm saying? It's like Bo taking over the show. You know, she is a Mandalorian.
It could be. And I keep seeing like headlines of new actors playing him, and I didn't even want to ask you, and I'm not trying not to look at him because I don't want to know if he's done with the show. And sometimes maybe those are fake things put out by Disney to get you to think that, because it's in the back of my head that something might, you know, I'm seeing these things, or maybe this is his last one. So yes, that would have been a good last words type deal.
There's a couple things behind that. I think now, especially because he's doing The Last of Us and stuff, I think basically like they credit other guys for being in the costume. So I think like all these guys are doing all this acting for days and days. Whoever's in the costume is probably really talking to Bo-Katan. And then what happens is kind of like they're shooting a Pixar movie, because they've seen all the scenes acted out, they probably just get him in there for like one day of recording. You know what I mean? And since Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau know how the scene goes down, they're like, hey, give me a little more of this or give me a little more of that.
How about Baby Grogu in that robot costume?
Yeah. And there's the funniness of it, but then like and the coolness of it, and it didn't really do much this episode, but what are the possibilities next episode? When Din got captured, they didn't show much of a reaction from him. I mean, they showed a little bit of a worry, and then it was like, quick, let's run. By the way, Bo-Katan, like, getting that redemption for what she confessed earlier about giving away the Darksaber, and she just...
Yeah.
And Paz Vizsla, we're going to talk about Paz Vizsla, but Paz Vizsla going... this is the way, and then she just goes. She runs right through all of them and just cuts that hole like Qui-Gon style. That was a cool scene. That I loved.
Yeah,
but I think we're going to see some things about Grogu kind of absorbing the situation. I'm hoping, 'cause I haven't seen my boy yet, but I'm hoping there's like, Bo-Katan goes, did he have any friends that could help us? And Grogu like draws a helmet in the sand.
Hey,
like,
Grogu,
throws
remember that guy that
draws a bee?
the Magic Man? Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually got a whole other group. It's awesome. Black Chrysanthemums, some robot kids. It's great.
Yeah, they can move things with their minds. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Why don't we have that guy?
Yeah.
The one guy stops spaceships. He picks them up. What?
Yeah. Like,
why is he not here?
Grogu's gonna send some, like, a group text out real quick to like. And I don't know if there is. It is kind of cool how the situation changed now, where the rescuing of Din comes into play, but because of Grogu's attachment, what is Grogu capable of in that suit? If he really was determined, could he grab the Darksaber just out of, let me go do this rescue kind of thing, or do some Force stuff with the robot? Like, have an awesome Grogu fighting scene that, like we've referred to before, which we've accepted about, like, the silliness of his movements, but all of a sudden you have this CGI robot, and you have Grogu doing some stuff like it's a mix. Like, picture a Terminator with the Force. I don't know if they're thinking that far ahead, but they could do some really cool, because you can't just do the Luke Skywalker scene again. So if you're going to have your big scene, what is it? You know what I mean? But that's something I'm looking forward to.
He's only, his arms are only, because he can't just do like Yoda and just CGI him and then he picks up the sword, because his arms aren't big enough to act. He can't actually pick up the sword.
Yeah, I don't think he can.
You know what I mean? Like, he can't fit. It can't fit. Yeah, it can't fit in his hand. So so to have the robot so that he can do it. It was odd when he gave it to him. When he gave the robot to him, it's like, oh, look, I did this to it. It's like, well, the whole point we wanted the robot was because we trusted him. They're like, he just wiped his brain. So it's just you could have done that with any robot. It's still cool.
You basically turn him into Krang now from the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, exactly. And like, also, you murdered our robot friend that we asked you to bring back.
Yeah, we couldn't do it. So we
completely wiped it.
I could have. Pelimoto is looking for the part. He gave me a day.
He was my friend. I trusted him.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to save him.
He was my friend. I didn't need a walking cradle for my 50-year-old son here.
Yeah, I'll put my 3-year-old in this tank.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. He starts shooting people for not feeding them.
And like when you give a gift to your, we both have kids. You go and ask the kid first. You go ask the kid's parent first.
Yeah.
Is it cool if he has his wave runner?
Hey, I'm just gonna put him in this. Yeah, I'm gonna put him in this war machine here.
Yeah.
It's cool. Does he know how to fire this? Does he know how to do this?
Oh, we got to talk about Paz Vizsla. So Paz Vizsla goes in for that final battle. And if I skipped things, we'll go back. But
tell me who that character is.
Paz Vizsla's the big guy with the kid, with the son.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
So he goes, this is the way. He goes for his big final moment. And he goes out there. And I'm like, oh, man, he's going to die the hero's death. And then he doesn't. He throws the last stormtrooper. I'm like, I once again, I said out loud, I go, oh. And then, and even Gideon mentioned Praetorian guards, which I didn't understand. Like, okay, guards, some kind of special guard. I didn't realize it's a specific thing. Those were the guards that when Rey and Kylo were back-to-back in The Last Jedi, the exact same guards. And they came up. Now, those two versus Rey and Kylo is one thing. But 3 of those versus 1 Mandalorian, that was brutal. And they didn't break a sweat, those guys, unlike the Stormtroopers. That was freaking...
Yeah, that was brutal. And seeing the red, that brought me back.
Yeah,
that was a great scene from the Rey's movie.
Yes. Oh yeah.
When they had that fight.
Yeah, I once again we got to talk about doing those revisits for those movies, but I definitely what it definitely did was like enough of the like we're hinting at it. It's finally like okay, at least let's get to this. Where are we with this empire and the Republic? I think it set that stage, which is important going forward for the other stuff that's happening. But especially we got back to the Mandalorian story that I feel like too. You know, even though we covered that bigger thing, now it's like about Mandalore. I mean, we're really getting to a big part where all these Mandalorians get together. And
yeah, all them getting together and also explaining the whole thing with this planet and it being cursed. And because still it hasn't really been answered. Like they thought it was cursed.
yeah.
And then I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, when they found these other Mandalorians that were still there, I'm saying, okay, well, maybe these Mandalorians put that word out there so people would stay away from it so that they'd be protected. But then they go to the Forge, and not only are the bad guys there, but it looks like they've been there.
Yeah.
Like it looks like it's their place. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's they took over the planet. They're the ones that's, you know what? I think I'm onto something here.
Yeah.
This would explain how excuse me, how what's his name, Moff Gideon, why he has that kind of armor, because they're down there in this planet hiding in this, you know, that's like their base.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm right on that, that means that those guys were the Mandalorians that were left behind, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Those guys maybe really did sell them out.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, you know, it was only two of them. There was not a lot of those. Oh no, there was some sickly ones and stuff, but maybe, yeah, they could have cut a deal because from the beginning of the episode, we knew Moff Gideon knew where they were coming, right? And especially because they were so disorganized, it was really like the unification of them that made to go, you know, Din Djarin was the first because he was so committed to, you know, bathing in the waters and stuff. But then once they got their act together, Bo-Katan came back, and then one thing happened after another, but then things started moving and shaking, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know, as you could say, like if the season's been all over the place, but it's been kind of pointing towards this. I tell you what I liked was the armorer, that she stopped being such a one-note character. You know what I mean? Instead of just being like she always has the answer. Like I like to see like some thinking, some conversation. Like she's not too big to talk. Yeah, she has a leadership role in her sect. But when she's talking, like I said something about Children of the Watch, which I'm actually not sure, but it's one of those things like, oh, are they Death Watch? Because people were asking about that. It's a Clone Wars thing with Mandalorians. And they're like, oh, no, it broke up and we're like the remnants of Death Watch. But it's, you know, it means nothing to some people, but for other people, it answers the question. But the fact that like she's having those conversations instead of being so shrouded in mystery.
Yeah, exactly. That was cool. You know, and she's interesting too, because not only is she like a full on blacksmith and she knows all this stuff about Mandalorians, but she's also a pilot. She ended up flying one of them. And I'm thinking of it like she's flying and kicking butt. And I'm like, when did she learn how to do this? Like, if you think like practically speaking, like, so she knows how to be a blacksmith. Like she can make chainmail out of a mallet and fire. And then she could go fly a spaceship. It just seemed like a funny thing to me.
Well,
like not everyone can do it.
No, in Star Wars, driving a ship is like driving a car.
Driving a car.
It's like everybody. And by the way, no spaceships have keys in them. People just grab ships, fly away from. There's no code. There's no thumbprint. You just get in and drive.
Yeah,
it's like very.
Yeah, it is funny. Yeah, they must not be worth as much. Yeah, maybe they just they're cheaper or something. I guess. They're like, crap, I lost another spaceship. Just go get another one.
So, yeah, exactly. Han Solo lose the Falcon. How'd you lose it? Well, there's no keys. That's that easy. You just walk away.
Yeah. I went into Walmart. I came out. It was gone.
Yeah, I'd take the Millennium Falcon if I saw it outside. If I couldn't fly it, I'll figure it out. Speaking of the space battle, so now I guess the answer is does Axe Wolf make it up there in time? Because we're shaping up for some Star Wars on both levels, and I think that's when Star Wars is best. When you got a simultaneous battle going on and a space battle, and this is a 50-minute episode. I'm sure the next one's going to be the same or longer, but we're shaping up for a really cool season finale.
How many we got left?
Next one's the last one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I thought we had more.
No, next one's the last one, because that was like, this was the buildup. This is a 50-minute, and now it's going to be the big turning point. But now you think of it, everything's in position, and then we got an hour to work with. So it's going to be good. It's going to be, I mean, a normal movie is an hour and a half when you think in those, kind of terms. Like, there's a lot of ground to cover. I mean, we could still pull off a Boba Fett, which I'm rooting for. But, and if not, we'll see him somewhere. But I cannot see no Boba Fett happening. You know what I mean?
Has he been here at all this season? I forget.
No. And there's the other thing. They're doing a space battle. Boba Fett's ship is badass. Like the Slave One, like it shoots those torpedo things. And Jango Fett shot at Obi-Wan. He shot at the Sarlacc. I mean, it is a cool. His ship is a character much like the Millennium Falcon. Like, it is a force to be reckoned with. So even just his help in the space battle and the fleet, just some Boba Fett presence. And, it won't kill me if it doesn't happen. But if you're doing a Mandalorian-centric show, the whole reason Mandalorians are even happening is because Boba Fett looked cool. He had 3 lines in Star Wars, and they decided to build this whole backstory to the armor. And then him, and then everything. You know what I mean? It's all. Yeah. I just feel like. Like I said, you can't put Boba.
They owe it to him kind of deal.
Yeah, you got to acknowledge his.
He'll show up.
Yeah.
Din Djarin's been captured. He's gonna. He's gonna show. Word's got to get to him somehow. I mean, they all live inside computer like armor.
Yeah.
Someone's got to be able to radio them.
Well, yeah, like you said, the holographic message in an R2 unit or something. But you and now I think back of it, how Din Djarin was pretty much a ride or die for Boba for something that had nothing to do with him. He just was there, and Grogu wasn't even there yet. He was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it free. I'll do it for free. Yeah, I owe Boba one." And then Boba, even though he doesn't believe into that Mando stuff, he does believe in that honor stuff. Like, he swore his word to Din Djarin before. So I think if it came down to it, he would help him just for the sake of helping him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see him. We'll see him next episode, I'm sure.
Yeah. Whether they did show any, I'm sure, like you said, there's always that one big moment. I mean, this one had one with the Praetorian Guards, but it's going to be that one surprise, that one thing that kind of, whether Boba's the thing, I doubt. I don't know. It's going to be a good one next week, so I'm psyched for it. But, yeah, like I said, Bob, one more. I've got a feeling it's going to be a big one. I'm looking forward to it. Always, I'm looking forward to doing a show with you, Bob, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, man.
And we'll see you guys next week. Big finale.